Now we'll go over how to properly set up user registration and set up a site to allow users to log in. First, we need to be sure that we have user registration enabled properly. To do this, go to the Global Configuration under the System section. Next, we want to allow user registration, so we set it to Yes. The new user registration type should usually just be registered. In some cases, we may allow people to register as more privileged users, but we'll cover that when we talk about user-contributed content. The new user account activation option allows us to specify whether we send an email that the user must receive and then click on an activation link before they will be permitted to log in. In most cases, this is a good idea and it confirms that you have an accurate and working email address for that user. The front-end user parameters option allows us to present more detailed user control panels to users. This allows them to change their own settings if we provide the page to do so. We'll cover this when we talk about the user menu items. Now that we're sure that Joomla is set up properly to accept user registrations, we can go ahead and provide the site visitors with a way to do it. To do this, we use a login module. The login module presents a simple login box that can usually be placed anywhere on the site. Let's go ahead and add one to the front page now. Go to the Module Manager and add a new module. Select the Login module. Let's give it a title: Login. The parameters here are quite useful. The pre- and post-text parameters allow us to customize the text that appears above or below the Login module. If we need to show any special instructions for the user, this is a good place to include that. The login and logout redirection options allow us to control which page the user is sent to immediately after logging in or logging out. This allows us to send them to a registered-only area, to a control panel, or some other page. If you leave it blank, it will just redirect back to the front page. The greeting option controls whether or not a stock Joomla message appears in the box after the user has logged in. It typically says, "Hi," followed by the user's real name or login username, depending on which one you choose. And finally, the encrypt login form parameter controls whether or not Joomla forces SSL or simply redirects the user to the secure HTTPS versions of the login URL. This should only be enabled if your site has a valid SSL certificate and it's not really something specific to Joomla. Each web hosting company will have a different process for SSL certificates, so consult the documentation for your hosting service if you need this for your site. And, of course, like any module, we can choose where we would like this module to appear. Let's have it appear in the left position on the home page. Now, let's have a look at the front end and see how it works on our site. As you can see, we now have a working login box. You notice that there is a Remember Me checkbox? This is actually enabled using a plugin in the Plugin Manager. If you'd like to remove that, simply disable the appropriate plugin. Joomla also provides some typical user links that help our users recover their account if they forgot some of the information. This is another reason why it's a good idea to enable email link activation. And finally, Joomla provides a link to create an account. If we click on that link, it takes us to a place where we can register. Let's go ahead and register a test user. We'll enter some simple example information here and submit. Okay, we went to our email and clicked the activation link. Now the account is activated, and we can log in. Great, we were just redirected to the main page, but we're logged in as expected. The text here, "Hi Test," is the greeting message from the login module parameters. If you don't like how it looks, you can simply disable it there. So that covers how to enable registration and create a user login module. You can use this to create registered-only content. It's also used as the basis for some third-party extensions that handle paid content, e-commerce, and other functions that require a user login.